There
All
we
right.
go.
Well, again, welcome everybody. It is now recording. So happy that you're all here. I mean, part of the impetus for this group, CX on the Rocks, is exactly that. That kind of customer experience is a little bit on the rocks. We're seeing some challenges today. And as we think about these challenges, one of the ways to think about on the rocks is just that, turbulent water on the rocks. I mean, here in Colorado, we pay good money to do some class 4 and 5 rapids up in the mountains. But, we're seeing it in so many different ways because we're seeing things that are impacting, again, CX, customer experience. A lot of our metrics are seeing a decline. We're seeing lower performance. We're also seeing challenges from a business standpoint, layoffs, restructuring, and we're seeing even employee burnout, and a lot of still kind of seeing the quiet quitters, or as Dave calls them, the mouse wigglers, maybe from a remote standpoint. But really, all of this is about transformation. It's about driving through this change and understanding that we're in a little bit of a rough spot. But that's why this exists, because together we're going to really redefine what it means, turning friction into flow, from struggle into strength. We're really here to do that together. But ultimately, there's other definitions for on the rocks as well. I mean, we all know this, the kind of this other definition of on the rocks being, building on a foundation. Understanding that rocks are solid, dependable. We all heard the story and have the parable of what happens when you build your house on the sand, and it's one of those areas that we're here to build foundation together, and that foundation is really across all of these capabilities that are occurring, whether it be VOC, CX, AI, all of the things that we're going to talk about in our breakouts a little bit later are a part of that foundation. But specifically, we also are looking at what I call the 4 C's of experience, or the 4 C's of experience, or 4 C's of CX. But we're looking at this from a customer experience standpoint, the trust and loyalty we build for people we serve, whether that's end customers, colleagues, stakeholders that depend on us. But it's also about career experience, about our ability to grow and contribute, find purpose in our work. And as mentioned, with layoffs and people looking for jobs, obviously that can be a challenge as well from a career experience. And then there's community experience, how we do this together, the relationships, networks, hopefully this one for you, the CX on the Rocks Collective. And then lastly, the core experience, really understanding that, all of these experiences come together, because I like to equate these are 4 rivers of our lives. These are things that we're going through together. And when they're aligned and when they're strong, your momentum carries you. But when you have rocks, when you have disruptions in any of those, it can be a challenge. So we're going to build foundation across these 4 areas. This is a customer experience at its core community, but it's not just for customer experience professionals. This is for any business professional that really is trying to navigate this new age of creating better experiences. And then finally, what it means is raising a glass. That's the third definition. So once we've understood where we are, maybe in a challenging space, once we've built our foundation, now we can raise a toast, celebrate together that we've been successful. And so that's why we're working through these together. Now, I want to also thank our sponsors, Bespoke CX and On Research. They are our top sponsors, right now in the launch of our community, and so happy that they're sponsoring us for that, so we can have these great conversations and really learn and grow together in that community in that way. So thank you again for joining. But as we continue down this path, I'm going to stop sharing right now. I am so excited to have our first inaugural guest speaker. He's a mentor of mine, and I'd like to say a friend of mine. We saw each other earlier over the weekend at the National Speakers Association Thrive Conference. But everybody, I want to welcome Shep Hyken to the stage. I'll give him a brief introduction here, but I'm going to pin him first. Where is the pin? Uh-oh, I lost the pin. There's the pin. Hey, Shep. I'll pin
Hey
myself
there.
as well.
Did you
So
just pin me?
I pinned you. So
All
you
right.
you and I are in everybody's face. So Thank you. You're welcome, right, to all the audience for seeing us in very large. Well, Shep Hyken, customer service and experience expert, award-winning keynote speaker, researcher, New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author, been quoted in hundreds of publications, the author of 8 books, including the latest, I'll Be Back, How to Get Customers to Come Back Again and Again. Shep works with companies and organizations that want to build loyal relationships with the customers and employees. And as I mentioned, we couldn't be better off having Shep join us. So Shep, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. And wow, I saw your questions. We've got some good ones.
Absolutely. Well, before we kind of dive into the questions, because we're going to talk a lot about the research you just completed and actually just published. So this is literally hot off the presses. But tell us a little bit about the research overall and kind of the context of it, and then we kind of dig into some of these things.
Sure. It was released 1 week ago yesterday. Well, yeah, yesterday. So I'm excited. It's our annual report, comes out usually the beginning of March. So we're right on target for that. This year, we actually did more than one survey. Each survey has over 1,000 people that we surveyed that matches the U.S. Census for age, gender, geography, ethnicity, et cetera, because we really want to see what it looks like in the U.S. When customers give us their expectations, their complaints about what the service industry is giving us, what they hope to have. We did a lot on AI. The past few years, I've been asking questions about AI, but we went a little bit harder on it this year because it's such a hot topic. Interestingly, around the world, as I travel, they look to us as a model for how things are done. Even what I would consider, westernized cultures, they still look at the U.S. and say, somehow or another, we're doing it right. And I hope that continues. I know that there's some of our friends in other countries aren't super happy with us right now, but it's not us. We're going to just keep delivering the great experience that we possibly can and become models for the rest of the world on how to make that happen.
Absolutely, and we'll take that lead as much as we can. But we're also learning from our global peers and practitioners as well. But so I know as we think about this, you've said before, and this research really highlights that customer satisfaction isn't enough. There are different drivers. Now I know in the research I did, we found a couple of drivers like professionalism, being effortless, advocacy and being knowledgeable, all very keys. But tell us a little bit more. Your report shows I think 40% of satisfied customers might not return.
Well,
So what's going
actually,
on
that's
there?
the original stat that I took a look at and really drove me to understand what's behind that. Two professors at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, Anthony J. Zahoric and Roland T. Russ, quite a few years ago did that study, and they said 25 to 40% of customers don't come back even if they're satisfied. And if it's an industry like the hospitality industry, it gets even higher than that because people want to be more than just satisfied. So for the last several years, I've been asking a question, and I think I finally came across the exact way to word the question, and that is this. First of all, you have to define what satisfactory is. So if you were to rate, and I'm going to read from the report. By the way, the report is 100% free. You go to my website, hyken.com, click on the research tab or go to /research, hyken.com, and click on it. You don't have to put in your email. You don't have to give me any money. Just enjoy the report. It's ungated, and that's it. So here's what we did. We asked this question. If you were to rate a customer experience on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is bad, 2 is fair, 3 is average or satisfactory, 4 is good, and 5 is excellent, how likely is it that you would return to a company or brand if you rated them a 3, which is average or satisfactory? And the answer was 27% of customers in the U.S. said they are not likely or will never. And it's 19% not likely and 8% never come back, even if they're satisfied. And wow, it blew me away. I think, and by the way, we consistently have gotten this answer over the last couple of years. I've asked it a number of different ways in the different surveys, and I think this is the way it works. So that blows my mind. The point is we need to be better than just okay. Now, the question is, how much better than okay do we have to be? And I've been fortunate to talk to a lot of great people who are in this world, and we all agree that it doesn't take much. You don't have to go over the top. You go over the top when a problem falls in your lap and you get to go above and beyond to resolve the issue and save the day for a customer. But day in and day out, the average interaction that we have needs to meet the expectation 100% consistently, which automatically puts you above average because very few companies focus on that consistency and predictability. If you want to do something a little bit better than others, you can. Horst Schultz from the Ritz-Carlton, first president and co-founder of the Ritz, we talked about this. And specifically, he said, you've got to be like 10% better than average. And if you think about it on a scale of 1 to 5, as 3 is in the middle, that means you've got to be a 3.3. And both of us agree that if you are consistently a 3.3, most of the guests of a hotel or customers of a company are probably going to give you a 5. So why does it happen that way? And what can you do to be a little better than average? And for the Ritz-Carlton, and again, I use companies that we all recognize, we can all relate to. Even if we don't stay at Ritz's, we understand that it's a higher end organization. They've become an iconic brand throughout the world, known for great service. And like any company, there's going to be bumps in the road, or they're going to have rocks, as Sean likes to refer to them. But the point is that a little bit better than average for the Ritz is, let's just use the guest name whenever we can. Rather than when they ask, where's a room, or even if it's the restroom, don't just say it's over there around the corner, make a left, you'll see it. Walk them there. You don't walk them into the restroom, but you get them close enough that they actually see where it is, and you thank them for being a guest. Little things like that make a difference. And again, when something big happens, then you have your chances to go above and beyond. But here's some other interesting stats, because in addition to something this specific, we wanted to know a yes or no answer. Have you ever been completely satisfied and not returned? And just over half of customers says yes, that has happened. They've been very satisfied and didn't return. They've been somewhat satisfied. 63% said, yeah, I was somewhat satisfied. I still chose to go somewhere else. That's because customers' expectations are higher than ever. They're no longer comparing you to a direct competitor, but instead to a great service experience they receive from any organization. And that's what they hope you're going to give them. All right. Did I answer the question?
Yes, you did, and that's exactly. I mean, I love your answers. First off, and Ritz Carlton. One of my favorite CX stories is about is it Jerry the giraffe or
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
it starts with a J. It's the little stuffed animal that
Yes,
the
that's my
yeah
favorite story. If
yeah
you've never heard about it, you guys can look it up online. But yeah, I agree. I mean, what we're seeing is a customer's last best experience is their new minimum expectation. But it's not just with you. It's not with you or your industry. It's everywhere. Whoever they deal with, and so the really good companies out there are putting pressure on all of us to get better.
yeah. So
Um,
Sean, you mentioned the book "I'll Be Back," which actually, we have a lot of CX experts here, and I can't see everybody because of the way you pinned the screen, but raise your hand if you've written a book. I know a number of you have. Okay. And yep, see some hands going up. Here's the interesting thing. The book is such great credibility. This research, because it's new and all the time, people seem to be interested, which is why I've kind of moved from writing books to doing a little bit more research. And it's heavy in writing, it's heavy in brain power, and it's a little bit heavy on the pocketbook, but it's been very valuable for me. The last book, as I mentioned, was I'll Be Back, which, by the way, I jokingly say the famous Austrian philosopher Arnold Schwarzenegger had,
yes.
great words. I'll be back. Now, in the movie Terminator, he was coming back to blow the police department up. Now, since then, he was in some movies and he's had fun with that phrase. But in the back of the book, there's a series of questions. And I urge my clients to take a look at these questions. And you can think about how these might apply to you and your clients. Number one, why does somebody choose to do business with us? And number two, why would they choose not to and go to a competitor? Those are two questions. And number three, if they do go to a competitor, can you identify why? And this is where it gets interesting, Sean, to your point. Number four, we ask, what companies do you love doing business with outside of our industry? It doesn't matter what they do. It could be a restaurant, it could be B2B, it could be anything. And why do you love them? So that's part of the same question. That's number four. Number five, if you do love what they do, Is it something that can work in our company? And that's when the rubber hits the road. That's when we get excited, because if someone finds something outside of the industry that can be used to amplify and enhance the experience that our customers have with us, well, then we've just become better than our class. We become world class.
Mm.
And the sixth question is to take a look at all the answers and then recognize maybe there's a new reason customers would choose to do business with you. But that question 4 and 5, both questions are important. Why or what are other companies outside of our industry doing that we love? And could we operationalize it for us?
Yeah. Well, when you looked at the answering, when you think about how that is answered, how often is convenience or maybe ease part of that, what matters in business and in the research you've done?
Well, I'm going to go to that page because 66% of customers said convenience, which is hassle-free without friction, is more important than friendly service. Every year, convenience, when we ask how you rate all these different types of experiences, you have everything from friendly service to knowledgeable service to personalized service, speed at getting through to whoever you need to get through to get help. Convenience typically ends up right there at the very top year over year. So 91% of customers said convenience is important. 73% are willing to pay more for it if they know it's going to be a convenient experience. This is, and my amazing fact that I love is convenience has become the most important factor across all generations. Almost everyone, 91% of US customers appreciate an easy, frictionless, and hassle-free experience. If that doesn't get a company to think about what can I do to eliminate the friction or eliminate a bump in the road or make the process easier, I don't know what will.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting then that when you think about convenience or effortless, I know a lot of people are thinking now, and this is kind of the shift we're facing. They're seeing this, that AI is what's going to do it. AI is going to be what changes it. What's your thought on when you think about AI, automation, human connection, et cetera?
Well, I think first of all, it's great. I remember in the mid 2000 teens, tens, whatever you want to call them, around 2013, 14, 15, I was attending the IBM conference on Watson or this type of artificial intelligence and learning all about it. And if you wanted to implement something that would make you more productive or help and support a customer, it was costing, if not tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to do so. In some cases, upwards of over $1 million. Only the largest companies could afford this. Today, we can get as an individual, small solo entrepreneur type of company or medium-sized company, we can buy it for $30 or $40 a month for a subscription to have some type of generative AI bot support our customers, answer questions. And that is so reasonable. And if it's done well, you build confidence. Here's the problem. Many companies haven't caught up to what today is. That's number one. Number two, even if they are catching up and they are implementing a solution, two things could be happening. One, the solution isn't working as well as it should. Just means you haven't tweaked it or done the right thing, or maybe you bought the wrong solution. And number two, they are thinking this is a replacement for the human-to-human relationship that a good agent can create with a customer who's got a real problem. So some of the stats and facts from the report are that at least half the people, 50%, have said they've successfully resolved an issue doing nothing but using AI and not talking to an agent. That's pretty good. Now, by the way, this information is skewed because younger generations really latch onto this, where an older generation, a baby boomer, typically does not. They're a little bit nervous. They don't trust the solution. I believe about 51% have said that AI, even though they've used it and it's worked for them, it's still at times giving them bad information. Most of the time, they recognize they're not getting the information they want, and somehow or another, they connect to a live person to get the support. So I think
Yeah.
there's great opportunity here. Many customers, I think 6 out of 10 said they believe that it will be the primary role of customer support in the future. So I think that's pretty exciting. Our customers are saying, yeah, bring it on. We're expecting it.
Awesome. Well, I want to make sure I've got a couple more questions, but if anybody in the audience has a question for
Yeah,
Shep, go ahead and put it in the comment box. I'll ask you one while we're waiting to see kind of what a few of those are.
sure.
But again, oftentimes we all get asked, in CX, to put to look at our crystal ball and say what's going to happen, in the near future or distant future. So as you see the trends in your studies now, and maybe what's kind of on the new, and AI may be part of that, but what are you seeing that will define CX in the next like several years, if you will?
Number one is convenience. We'll hit that one again. I think it's really important. And AI creates convenience. If you say to somebody, you can wait on hold for 15 minutes or go to a website and start a chat and maybe get your information and answer right now, what do you think most people would like to do? Unless they have a lot of time, just sit around and wait, they're going to go to the easier solution. By the way, I want to cap it all off because there's one other really important point I wanted to make, and I'm looking at my notes through here. But even though we are doing a good job with AI, even the customers that insist that you have some self-service digital portal for them to get into, they're still saying, I want to be able to be backed up by a human. And I don't think we can ignore that. So we're seeing some customer or some questions coming in.
Yep.
Should we look at Martha's first? We'll go
Yeah,
Martha and then
let's.
Jeffrey. Yeah. Um, we use it all the time in our company, but as far as chatbots, I find very disappointed. I don't see good conversations coming from chatbots. Just it's a way for companies to pass the buck. Well, that's a shame. They haven't invested in making it right. I'll tell you the easiest solution is, to me, it's like we've got a product manual of a particular product and we put it into the computer and we tell the bot, this is the only place you can go to get information. You are not allowed to go anywhere else, and just speak at the level, the language, whatever, to make sure that the customer understands it. If you take a simplistic approach, that's great. Recognize that even though customers believe AI can handle somewhat complicated situations, I think it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so is complication. It is not always easy to give the solution because it might be two or three ideas that have to merge together. That's why we need to make it real easy for a customer to seamlessly and quickly fall into the H to H response, the live agent.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question, Martha, or does that address your comment? I'm looking. There you are, Martha. Yep, thanks. So thumbs up. And then Jeffrey, what are the most effective strategy for rebuilding trust with a customer after they've had a terrible experience? How can I turn the situation around and restore their confidence in their company? Okay, that's a moment of misery. We need to turn into a moment of magic. No doubt that what I'm going to give you a great stat. By the way, I love now that I could back all this up with true statistics and
Right.
information.
Yeah.
81% of customers said they'd return to a company if they actively sought to make amends for a bad experience. Pretty good. Here's the key: a bad experience, not bad experiences all the time. Because it doesn't matter if they keep fixing what breaks. If it constantly breaks, I'm going to go find a place that sells me something that won't break. But I will tell you that when it comes to, the AI solution, again, seamless connection to a human when needed. And many AI solutions are able to recognize when customers are getting upset, they're not getting the answers that they want, and move you on to that human seamlessly. So that's important. But let's say you finally get somebody on the phone or in any of the interactions. It could be a bot. They're dealing H to H, human to human, and you find out they're unhappy. This is Shep's 5-step formula for turning that situation around. Number one and number two, they're reversible, or you can do one first, two first, it doesn't matter. But you must acknowledge and apologize. I understand why you're upset. I would be upset if that happened as well, or something to get some type of empathy and connection by the acknowledgement. Second is, I'm really sorry that happened. Might not be your fault, but guess what? It's now your chance to save the day. Number three is to discuss what the resolution is going to be. Maybe you can fix it on the spot, or just tell them what's going to happen. And then, by the way, it better happen. Number four is a level of accountability. As I mentioned, it may not be your fault, but now you get to resolve the issue. Even if you're going to hand it off to somebody else, another department, You need to make sure that customer knows who you are, and if there's a problem, they can reach back out to you. And finally, number five, to act with urgency. So you've got acknowledge and apologize, fix it, own it, and act with urgency. And that urgency piece is what really gives the confidence for that customer to say, you know what? And this is what I want all of our customers to say. I want them to use the word always in front of something positive. They're always so easy to work with. They're always so knowledgeable. They're always so helpful. They're always friendly. And here's the next one. Even when there's a problem, I know I can always count on the company or the people to take care of me and make it right. When always is followed by something positive, you're on your way to creating what I refer to as the amazing experience.
Awesome. And Martha said, great point.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. I guess I should look over that
Absolutely.
again. Yeah.
So as we think then and kind of wrapping into this, so obviously you've got an audience here of a lot of CX practitioners, a lot of business
Mhm.
leaders.
You
What
guys
would
know
you,
more than I do. If you're
uh,
doing it day in, day out, you know you're right there in the weeds. I'm just kind of looking at it from afar, trying to make sense of what sometimes seems complicated, but actually is not all that complicated. I wrote an article. It comes out, I think, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Yes. And nothing has changed in customer service or customer, well, we'll call it customer service for this purpose. And what I mean by that is that, you know, thousands of years ago, a customer had a problem with whatever business they were dealing with, and the customer complained, and all they wanted was to be happy. And today, it's the same thing, whether you're complaining to a robot, a bot of any kind, AI, or 1,000 years from now, I believe that when customers have a problem, they're just going to want it resolved. How we go about it has changed. But at the end of the day, what's happened to start it and what's going to happen to end it is exactly the same. Problem solved, customer happy. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And that migration and that evolution of how to do it, that's what's ramping up so fast. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing that's got us kind of. That's why again why we're kind of building this community because it used to be we would see major shifts in how business is done that we could define by the decades. Once a decade, twice a decade, three times a decade, and then in the early 2000s, it was hitting more. We finally hit like in the 2010s once a year, and now we're looking at 2 to 3 times a year. And with this explosion of technology, though, and capability, I never know who the they is, but the they is
They're the
saying,
people that clean the streets.
yes,
That's what
exactly.
my
They
mom used to say.
say, they
Who's
say that
they?
we could be seeing this major shifts in how we do business once a month by 2027, which
I
is
think,
just,
and I don't know how
yeah,
you necessarily identify the actual shift because they kind of all blend together. What we're
yeah,
seeing is like this hockey stick performance of improvement in capabilities. And there's fear of missing out, FOMO, right? But there's also fear of messing up. And what happens is companies are saying, "Oh, I can't afford not to get in on the new technology." But the other side is saying, yeah, of their brain is going, yeah, but if I pick the wrong technology, boy, am I in trouble. So there are plenty of technologies out there that have room for growth. They're reasonable enough to implement financially, as well as the disruption it could cause people by bringing in some type of a solution. It's usually sometimes, if you're lucky for the type of solutions we're talking about, it's not it's important, and hopefully it's not totally disruptive. But what if you do make a mistake? So there's two forms of mistake. You make a mistake, you try something, it doesn't work, you make it right, and then you replace it if it
hmm
isn't right. But what if you miss out because you were fearing buying the wrong thing? You wanted to wait for the perfect solution. Well, it may not ever get there. And in the meantime, your competitor did it. And now you're not only playing catch up to try to add to the technology and get up to speed that way, but you're also playing catch up on the market share that you lose because as customers find out there's a better experience elsewhere, they're going to go for it.
yeah. It's incredible words, and Shep, I just want to say thank you so much for being with us and sharing wisdom with us. And I know the audience got a lot out of this. Shep really shared a lot of great information about convenience and so forth. But we have this opportunity now in this collective to break into small groups. So we're actually going to open up the small groups here in a minute, but I want to actually, as we transition, let a few of the folks or the folks that are leading our breakouts kind of talk about what they're going to cover today. The idea of the next 15 to 20 minutes is to take some of what Shep talked about, but also engage in some breakdowns of different topics. There is an AI automation room, journey mapping and journey management, CX and culture connection, data and analytics. So I want to actually introduce each team lead. So Dave and Stacy, you guys are leading the breakout room on journey mapping and management. Why don't you introduce yourselves briefly and tell them what you're going to cover in that room?
Sure, I'm Dave Seaton, and together with Stacy, we're going to be talking about customer journey myths and mastery. Some of the myths around customer journey mapping, why over the last decade, about half of customer journey maps fail, how to do it correctly, and then how to transition into this virtuous cycle of continuous improvement called journey management. So if you're interested in customer journeys, I hope you'll join Stacy and I.
Awesome. Well, Matt Eagle, you're going to run the CX and culture connection. So, Matt, introduce yourself. What are you going to cover a little bit in your room?
Hey everybody, I'm Matt. I'm excited to be with you. Some of you may have seen me from my podcast, the CX and Culture Connection, and I'm going to be talking about the direct and indirect ways that culture influences customer experience and why culture eats strategy for breakfast.
I love that. That's awesome. All right, Jason Tenpow is going to join, and he's going to be leading the session on CX data and analytics. Obviously, a key importance for all of us. But Jason, why don't you introduce yourself and talk just a little bit about that? Oh, you're on mute. There
Hi,
you
good
go.
afternoon, Sean. It's great to see so many people out here. Today is going to be an interesting topic. I think, Shep, always interesting to hear your point of view on a lot of these subjects. And data is a big part of the conversation today. And, just like Shep's mentioned earlier, research is a key component that allows you to back things up with numbers. And I think a big part of data and analytics as it relates to CX is having that data in your pocket to drive home a strong case for why you need technology, why you need to make the decisions, why you need to go in the directions that you need to. And so we'll unpack a little bit about what data matters and how you get your hands on it and why is it so important.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Chris Hodges, AI and automation. Chris.
Okay, our group, we got about 15 minutes, but the theme is helping humans be heroes in the age of automation, and specifically in the CX world. How do you use what the Japanese called autonomation, which means using automation and AI where it makes sense and having humans work where they make sense? That was the secret to the Japanese auto industry almost destroying the US auto industry. So the positive side is how can we help humans be heroes in the age of AI? And the picture I have in my mind is Luke Skywalker being bailed out by R2D2 coming out of the trash compactor, right? We want our humans to be heroes and our machines to do the automation. That'll be the theme of what we talk about in the group.
Awesome. Brad Smith, we're going to cover digital transformation.
Yeah, hey everybody, Brad Smith here. Digital transformation topic near and dear to my heart. Simply put, when you digitize your organization, suddenly how it drives decisions, how fast it operates, how it uses data that's readily available, and how do you operate at that digital near light speed. So that's going to be a topic we're going to be talking about. How do we frame up a digital transformation? How do we get it started? How do we go slow to go fast, et cetera?
Awesome. And then lastly, we got a room dedicated to our contact center folks, JP Dumas and Skip Pisciano. Introduce your room.
Yeah, this will be a fun discussion. Yeah.
Skip Pisciano, JP and I are going to be talking about how AI may not be the holy grail of contact center customer care. When we talk about an age with Silicon Valley evangelists just touting artificial intelligence left and right, and the industry's just bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. But it may not be the best answer. And we're going to use real-world examples of some of the titans in the industry that prove you don't need flashy AI. JP's going to be doing most of the talking because, as you can tell, my voice is going sideways. JP.
Yeah, absolutely, Skip. Thanks for tossing me the mic. But yeah, we're gonna do a little bit of myth busting, and we're gonna ask some pointed questions. It may not be the answer to your CX issue, and we're gonna tell you why. So glad to have you.
And
All
whoever
right,
asks questions on our call gets a free cowboy hat.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'm going to open all the rooms. Pick whichever topic you want to go to, and I'll do a call back in about 15, 20 minutes back to the main room. And again, one last chance to thank Shep. We do kind of the shake and the when we do a thank you online. So, but join your room, enjoy the discussion, and we'll come back for a close.
Thank you, Sean. I think we were just getting started. I definitely think, as we work this out, we'd love to have a little bit more time. But I think we started to talk about the connection between data, and then we touched on data and culture. And I think that's such an important part of the conversation when it comes to CX, as well as it relates to data. Because if your culture isn't one that is open and understanding of CX. And not only that, if your culture isn't one that embraces change, it's going to be very difficult as a CXer to, capture people's attention. And I think it's really interesting how culture intersects almost everything as it relates to CX in today's world. So I just wanted to throw that one out there.
Yeah, and if I could add something to that, like Jason, we had our podcast discussion, talked about that, and it's organizational effectiveness is about decision making and collaboration and learning, and that's culture. And but it's really hard to do those things without good data. So there's a clear intersection there.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to jump in because we are running out of time. I'm showing the website here. We will have a new website by early April, but current website, if you go to cxontherocks.com, and if you ever wonder where, what's coming up next, if you go to events upcoming, you'll see a list. So we will, Sheps will go away, but we got Chris coming up on March 19th. We got Matt on March 26th. Myself on the 10th. I actually think, Jason, you're on the 1st. So we got several already lined up, ready to go. So you can always check out our upcoming events, and from there you can register as well. And then I'll continue to send out the newsletter with links and opportunities for that, and we'll continue to publish. So hopefully everybody enjoyed. We are at time, but everybody got a lot out of the first session together. And I'm so happy to have been successful, and we didn't technology didn't destroy us. So it worked pretty well. A few things to wrinkle out, but thank you very much, everyone. And I hope you all have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you in an upcoming event very soon. So thank you very much.